Hey guys, Gio here. Welcome to Giocast 28. It's been a while since my last one. I wasn't feeling inspired to share. It's been an interesting year, coming up to the end of the eclipse season for me as Taurus, and if you're Scorpio too. It's a 2 year kind of period of just like intense eclipses. And they say the eclipse, well, there's a lot of things, and there's a lot of different energies, but I guess in a nutshell, just shake things up in a way that brings them to the surface, sometimes tears it apart, sometimes realigns it, and then kind of things fall back into place. They settle down over time. And man, I was really feeling that, over the last few months. The last month specifically is where it was intense. There was two big eclipses. I think it was the 14th and the 28th. And there's a lot of things I wasn't sure about. There's a lot of things I was questioning. And I know you're not supposed to really make impulse decisions around that time. And also, I've just been listening to a ex-astrologer who says, astrology is really the work of Satan or the devil or something like that. Where when you assign or I guess agree with your free will to take on the energy of that sign, they say each one of those signs, is like some sort of, I don't know, demonic force, if you will. I'm not sure how much I believe in that, but now you're accepting to take on those energies that will rule your world or be influenced by them in a way. So I'm not sure how I feel about that yet, or what if I'm going to denounce my signs. But I'm definitely looking into what that could mean. So, anyways, I came to a place where I was ready to give up on one of the projects I'm working on. The physical space, elemental wellness, and the summer. I felt like I had kind of abandoned it for the last couple of years, and just coming back and seeing this community, I was like, man, I don't want to give this up. And there's all these other complications and attachments to it as well, financially, and the community and people that work there. But I felt like something was really shaking it up. Certain employees were leaving, and when I really looked at it, it was okay. Like, I really gotta double down. And one of my gene keys is transforming half-heartedness into devotion through commitment. I was like, okay, I really gotta commit in a deeper way to all the things that I've committed, that I've put my energy into, that I've created a connection or an intention with. And one day, I just woke up in the morning. I was feeling kind of anxious, and it was just like, you know what, I'm letting this thing go. I'm gonna tell everyone, because I've been trying to, like, get some investors involved in this whole new kind of rebrand and a whole new concept and trying to launch it. And I was just like exhausted. I'm like, I'd made up my mind that day. I called my brother and said, listen, we're letting it go. We're gonna figure out whatever. And that day came, and just like affirmation after affirmation of why I should keep it going. And someone came in who might want to bring their community there and do some classes and run workshops. And then that evening we did a class, and people were coming and sharing with me how much that place had changed their life. And that day we ended up having like a really good day in sales. Like, it was one of the best days we've had since I've been back. And I was like, the universe was telling me something. It was like showing me, it's like, hey man, are you sure you want to give up? And I had contemplated on that. And it's funny because when you start contemplating on things, the universe starts showing you. And I was reminded of, a conference I was at, the Archangel Millionaire. I'm not sure if I've shared since then. But their view of a millionaire is someone who impacts the lives of a million people. And many people that got up and shared the stories of failure, shared the stories of losing everything, but it was almost like it was out of their control. Like, they tried everything, and still they failed. But they built themselves back up again. And what stuck with me was that, the things that make you special, no one can take that away from you. And there are things outside of our control that no matter what you do, you can't stop. And you only really fail when you give up. You only really fail when you give up. And, I think I saw an Alex Hermosi post about that, about, like how, like, he was sleeping on the floor and like his whole gym launch thing. And it was just like, he just couldn't give up. He put himself in a situation where he couldn't give up. I was thinking about how many times in my life I've been able to give up and it was a choice, and how many times I've been in a situation where I couldn't give up and I had to move forward because there was no option. And I realized I rarely put myself in that situation, and there've been a few times. And I was just really contemplating on this, and I made a decision that like, why do I want to quit? Is it easier? And it doesn't mean that if something's like really hard and something's challenging, you should just do it forever. There's a recent book I read, 10x is easier than 2x, and it talks about, the courage it takes to kind of let go of 80% of the things that are what you're used to, what you're doing, and focus on that 20, because that's where you're going to see the growth happen, really. The things that are maybe hard but profitable, and the things that are like easy, they just take up time. There's no growth there. And this kind of goes back into like feeling stagnant as like an entrepreneur, when things are just like the same old status quo and you lose your creativity. And so I'm thinking about all these things. I'm thinking about how I really need a coach and a mentor and support. And I'm like, okay, so if I could change this whole scenario, like what would I want it to be like? Okay, I need support. Okay, I kind of got that. I want to be creative and I want to really believe in it. And I started thinking about what it means to believe in yourself and your abilities, and how with your mind you can find all the reasons why you should fail and give up and go into fear mode. But when you can just shift that and start looking at the wins and the things that you've done and you're capable of, and you really feed into that energy, how it can change everything. And I experienced this shift, and I think part of the eclipse was shaking that up for me to change my perspective. It's funny because the whole last year I was telling people, you got to believe in yourself, and something's happening, and there's always something happening. Things are always moving for you and for me and for us. And, it's the awareness that we need to have to see that, and how they're trying to move for us and with us, or away from us in a way that is still supportive of us. And it's that attachment that holds us on. And just being able to trust in that. And I'm preparing, to go for another week at Rhythmia. I'm thinking about my intention and drinking with Taita Bonito for the first time. And really like excited. I found this newfound excitement that I hadn't had for most of the summer, where I just felt overwhelmed. And I know that not everything has to get done on a timeline that I think, because I have this never-ending to-do list. Some people call it a to-die list. And it's okay, like these things will get done when it's time to get done. We don't have to do them all at once. Like I wanted to write a book and it just felt overwhelming. But then I got clarity on like how to write it and what to write. Maybe I don't go for this big book first. There's like a little book that needs to emerge, which is going to be about breathwork and breathwork stories and stories of transformation. It's a tool for people to transform their lives. And so that I'm really excited about. And like going back to like the failure happens only when you choose to give up. I was like, okay, like I'm not going to give up. I'm not going to stress about the things I can't control, but I'm going to just at least like every day is like, okay, like what are we getting done today? How are we moving this forward? And when it can't move forward anymore and it's time to let it go, I'm ready to let it go. And as I saw a quote again today, and it was by one of the Greek philosophers, I'll probably not say his name properly, Epictetus or something like that. And he said something along the lines of, freedom is the only worthy goal in life, and is won by disregarding the things that lie beyond our control. I'm like, man, that is so what I'm feeling right now. And when you let go of all the things you can't control, like look at what's going on in the world right now. Like what can I do to control that? I can't. But I think it's a necessary thing that's happening right now. We're coming to the end, I think, of a huge cycle, and the darkness is starting to really reveal itself. And I'm not going to say more about that because I'm not really sure what's going on. There's so many conspiracy theories about who's doing what and why and when and how. And what I know is a lot of people are suffering. A lot of human beings are suffering. A lot of innocent people are suffering. And sometimes we have to see the suffering right in our face, to the point where we no longer want to ascribe to that system anymore of death and dominance and control and money and capitalism, where it becomes self-consuming, and this is like what they talk about darkness. It's like it will consume itself and eventually reveal itself and show its face. So for all to see the truth and the light. And so as we let go of that, it's like, how do you just work on the light within you? How do you kind of go inward and see the things that you need to work on when these external things are grabbing your attention and creating worry? It's like, okay, like, how do I liberate myself from this feeling of being out of control? And it doesn't mean to control everything either. It's to surrender into the things that you can maybe manage, or that you have influence on, that you can really bring your energy to. And trust that however you do that's going to be the right way. And it doesn't mean to surrender completely and just let things happen. It means to have intention. It means to really have intention in all that you do. To be transparent, to be clear, to communicate with the people you interact with, all your relationships, including the relationship to yourself, to your family, to your friends. However you want to show up is to be clear. To share how you feel. If something doesn't feel good, not to hide it. Because hiding it comes from fear. And when we hide it, we bring in other energies that are going to kind of mirror back at us. And we're going to feel that cause and effect of not having intention. Because when we don't have intention, your shadow creeps in and kind of will put one in there for you. That's usually based in fear. So I'm glad the eclipse season is over. And I'm glad I've created some shift within me. And I'm really excited for what's to come, and just to know it's like, I can change the way I'm doing things to make it feel better. Whether it's with elemental rhythm or, the physical space or personal development school. And usually what's going to be best for me is going to be best for everyone that's involved, and vice versa. And what's best for them is going to be what's best for me. If we're just showing up in transparency and authenticity and you have a good relationship. And usually that's important to have that from the start, because we want to catch people off guard. So I'm really excited about what's to come. And I'm really grateful for just having these hard experiences and for shifting my perspective. And I know that there's always going to be more hard ones to come. But I'm grateful to have some kind of tools to kind of pull myself out of it and pull myself back, and to kind of be able to see that shift and that opening, to kind of like dive into. And, the other thing that's been helpful is just like getting up every day and doing that routine, getting in that ice bath, doing a little bit of breath work, waking up a little bit earlier when it was hard, when I wasn't sleeping so good. And it's like, okay, these little baby steps, they create momentum in your life. And so like I ask you, what's one thing you can do today that's a little bit different than what you did yesterday? How can you sit down and just kind of clear your desk, clear your mind, say, okay, like what do I really want to accomplish today, this week, this month? What's that one thing that'll help, move things forward? What's one thing that I need to change? And, again, me, like many people, it's like, hey, if I don't get it all done, it's like I'm failing. But no, it's like celebrate the small wins, take those baby steps. And, just get that first step forward. So that's a commitment I made to myself, just to continue working hard, but not overworking, but really just making sure that I'm clear on like what needs to get done, taking one step ahead of the other, and just being okay with that, being okay with the things I can't control, and really just doubling down on the things that I can. So a short one for today, Giocast. There'll definitely be some updates from Rhythmia as I'm going through it. And I just wanted to say, like, thank you all those who listen, those who reach out. It means a lot, and it also inspires me to create more and share with you guys. So if you have a comment or question, or you want to share, or you want me to talk about something, please just send me a DM at Elemental Geo on Instagram, or you can at Elemental Rhythm is our website. And I hope you have the most amazing day ever. And we'll see you soon. Peace.